Oh, well, hey, B. It's Jamie. That's me here. Welcome back to the channel. Listen, today I want to talk about a story that I have been seeing for quite some time. I'll be very honest. This is a story out of Jackson, Mississippi, from my understanding. I believe that I first saw this story towards the end of the year regarding a young man who goes by, I believe his name was Dexter Wade. I just really want to make sure that I have the name correct for this young man. So give me just yes, Dexter Wade. From my understanding, I did see this where he had been missing and some things were going on out there in Mississippi that just was not necessarily adding up, right? And then when I learned about the 215 unmarked graves or whatever that's behind a penitentiary out there in Mississippi, that's when I learned that the two stories were connected, and I was like, "Oh my God," you know what I'm saying? I gotta talk about this. Like we gotta touch on this, okay? It's not uncommon for the people that are new to the channel. It's not uncommon for us to talk about this. I've talked about a variety of stories, specifically crime stories over here on my channel, whether it's about, a woman that may have been unalived by her girlfriend or her boyfriend, an individual that may have gone missing, a person that may have been unalived by friends while on a trip. Okay, and we still have not gotten clear answers about that or any justice. But yeah, I typically talk about, stories like this. So this isn't something that is uncommon to us. And today, I want to get into this story out of Jackson, Mississippi, and just dive deeper into what's going on. I have quite a few news articles up, so just get cute, girl, and get comfortable. Grab whatever it is you're gonna grab and let this coffee sit up here and melt. I hate the heat. I hate it for me. I do. I had me a frappuccino. I hate that it then melted on me, but I had mommy things to do today. So, I have mommy things to do every day. But earlier I had to really get into some things. And, girl, this stuff then about got melted. But either way, moral of the story is I have quite a few articles up, video, and things that I want us to check out. So just get comfy because this could potentially be a very long video. Y'all know I like to read my articles. And with reading articles, I also like to get my 2 cents in between as we're reading these articles. So with that being said, go ahead and like up the video. You liking up the video definitely helps the channel. It lets YouTube know that there is an interest in this video. And I feel like y'all should definitely like this video because we want to get the word out. I feel like more people should be talking about this so that the officials out there in Jackson, Mississippi and wherever else can be held accountable and bring answers forward for these families, because there were multiple, first of all, 215 people, okay, um, were buried behind a Mississippi penitentiary. And a lot of these family members did not know, and some of them may still not know where their family members are. And some of them are still buried behind this prison marked with a number like 172, 158. Okay, number one. That's how they're identified. And the crazy thing is for them to bury those people there, it's because I believe it goes back to 2016. So it's really sad because some of these people had identities. Like, I mean, everybody has an identity, but a lot of these people had IDs on them. They had identification on them. So you know exactly who these people are and you know how to properly get in contact with their family. Their family members were, some of them, okay, have been out here that we know of, okay, have been out here trying to actively find out where their family members are, what could have possibly happened to them, etc. And they've been given the runaround. And when they finally find out and identify the fact that their family members are buried behind this fucking prison, girl, because I'm hot about it, these motherfuckers had the audacity to tell these people that they have to buy back the bodies of their family members in order to have proper burials. And then the way that they were burying these people into the ground, just in body bags, okay? I'm sure they did not get embalming fluid or whatever the process is when you're preparing to bury the dead. I'm sure they did not get any of that. Just thrown in body bags and thrown in the back, okay? The smell is starting to come out. And I know it smells very bad in that area. And I just hate it for anybody in that area that has to suffer from that smell. And now buzzers and everything are all swarming around this little unofficial burial ground or whatever. And here's the gag for me, y'all. all they know about is 215 bodies, okay? My thing is this, it's probably twice that amount. It's probably way more. It's probably they probably put more bodies in one hole, one grave. Right? It's just so I feel like, girl, opening up this is definitely going to open up a can of worms. And if people apply the right pressure, it's going to cause people to expose what the hell is really going on. Hell, we still trying to find out what happened to I believe his name was it Rasheem Carter? I believe I did a story on him out of Mississippi. We still trying to find out what the hell happened to him on somebody's land. So Mississippi definitely, they have been, girl, I feel like Mississippi is worse than Alabama, even though they all on the same playing field when it comes to these southern states. But y'all motherfuckers, girl, we gonna need some answers, and we gonna need the people to like up the video, share the video, and get the story out there, because we trying to find out what the hell really going on out here in these streets, okay? And I just feel a way about it, because I just feel like a lot of officials, whether they're police officers or whatever, they just get away with so much, and it's truly sad. But let's go ahead and get into this. I'm not gonna hold y'all any longer, okay? Let's go ahead and transition over. I want to start with this article over here on NBC News, because I feel like they were the ones that initially did an investigation about this story and kind of started to bust things wide open. And then we learned more. Okay, so let's start at the top where they're saying 8 years and 215 souls. The names of the unclaimed people buried in a pauper's field in Hinds County. Okay. They said after devastated family members discovered that their loved ones had been buried in Mississippi without their knowledge. That's another, I feel like that's a crime for you to bury somebody's family member without their knowledge. If it's not a crime, I feel like it should be a crime. I don't think that should be right, especially if these individuals are married, have children. Like, whoever the next of kin is should be notified about the passing of their relative. Like, who the fuck do y'all think that y'all are? Okay, and this is a photo, and I don't know if you guys can see it very clearly, but this is a photo where they have markers on the ground for the numbers of where these people are buried. But what's crazy is I'm seeing numbers like 565, 569, 518. What is that? So is it 200 and something bodies out there, but they started maybe in the middle of the hundreds range or something with the numbering? How did they get to that number? Or is it more people, is what I'm wondering. Okay, but let's go ahead and keep going. So they're saying the unclaimed dead of Hinds County, Mississippi are buried along a dirt road on the grounds of a jail work farm. Their graves marked with just a metal rod and a number. Every few months, inmates dig new graves and add new bodies to hundreds already buried in unkept plots. So y'all don't even keep the plots up. And then y'all got these inmates over there digging it up, girl. I guess that's a part of the free labor. Anywho, they're saying for centuries, the solemn duty of burying people who died with no money or known family has fallen to local governments. Some coroners and medical examiners conduct exhaustive searches for surviving family members, scouring the internet and government databases for clues. Now listen, this is Cap here. I know y'all wanted to make them appear as though they're really doing their job, but it's given that they haven't. Okay, some coroners and medical examiners conduct exhaustive. I'm glad y'all said some. That's the key word, some, because not all. I don't even think that the individuals that's buried back here have seen a coroner or a medical examiner. That's just my personal. Okay, I think they just got picked up by whoever and sent straight over there to be buried. Okay. They go on to say, but others do not complete the job. I'm glad y'all are saying that. They said this has become evident in Hinds County, where NBC News has found several cases in which people died and were buried in the pauper's field, even though their families were looking for them or weren't hard to find. Okay, because a lot of these people family ain't hard to find. They're saying the families say they would have gladly claimed their loved ones' bodies and given them a proper funeral. Instead, they say the paupers' burials left them traumatized and damaged their trust in the government. Okay. Now this section here, lost rights. We're going to get into all of this in a second. But it's about a mother who reported her son missing in March, and police kept that truth from her for months. Okay. Another Jackson, Mississippi man was buried without his family's knowledge. We'll get into that. And a third man was buried in the Hinds County pauper's field without anyone notifying his mother. Okay. They also talk about the Jackson Police Department adopting a next of kin notification policy. So we'll likely touch on, get into that as well, but we'll continue on with the article. They say blame for these botched cases has fallen primarily on the Hinds County Coroner's Office and the Jackson Police Department. Each agency points a finger at the other. I feel like if Hinds County is pointing a finger at Jackson the Police Department, it's probably the right fingers, okay? But some part of me feel like y'all probably was in cahoots with each other. The fact that y'all are over there pointing fingers at each other and still got a few pink fingers pointing back at y'all could have potentially been in cahoots with each other. Although I feel like a lot of the people whose bodies or majority that are behind this penitentiary never even made it to a coroner's office, in my personal, okay? But let's keep going. They say, meanwhile, other families are left wondering if their missing loved ones were also given pauper's burials in that desolate stretch of land beyond a horse stable and a scrapyard. Now, they say in an effort to help families find answers, NBC News is publishing a list of pauper's burials in Hinds County since 2016. That is insane to me. My question is this, okay? How is it that NBC News was able to do this investigation and immediately get a list of every single individual that was laid out in this field? Yet you have people's family members coming to the front saying they weren't notified at all. How is it that you have a first and last name and you know the age of these individuals and likely where and how they died, and y'all never notified the family, but you could give a full fucking list to NBC News? Am I tripping? Because something about that just does not seem right to me. But okay. They say the list was provided by the county coroner's office in response to a public records request. Okay, so I stand corrected on some things, because it seems like if the county coroner's office is providing a list, then you too are aware of who was buried behind that penitentiary. But at the same time, I feel like, am I standing corrected? Because I also said that I feel like y'all was in cahoots the way y'all over there pointing the finger at each other. Okay, so the latter seems to be working, okay, at this particular time. I'm just letting you guys know that's just what it looks like to me. Okay, let's keep going. All right, let's see. What else are they letting us know here? They're saying the office said in an email that it did not have a list of those buried earlier. They said records before 2016 could not be located. Now, didn't I tell y'all these are just the ones that they were able to find? Hello? They've been doing this for decades, I am sure, beyond 2016. So I feel like this list is only speaking of individuals that have died from 2016 until now, and that's a total to me of 215 people. Whereas maybe it makes sense why I was seeing markers that said 565, 518, or whatever the case is, right? So that makes me think that there are hundreds of bodies out there. They just only have the list that's dated back to 2016. And this is so effing sad, because I can imagine how many people could have been harmed by the hands of officials. Not accusing nobody, but I'm just saying, okay? And the fact that one of the men got hit by a police officer and his body ended up back there, and y'all ain't even trying to pull his identification to find his mama, it's not too far out of range to think that a lot of people have been violated by the police and found themselves, back there in Popper's Field. But we're going to go ahead and keep going. They say in publishing this list, NBC News is sharing only a person's name, their gender, race, date of death, age at death, and the date of burial. The NBC News list only includes adults, and it does not include the names of 9 people whose unclaimed bodies were designated in recent months for paupers burials in Hinds County, but not yet buried as of November 1st. Girl, what? So there are 9 people whose bodies have not been claimed, and they are going to be moving over to paupers burials at some point, but they haven't been buried as of November 1st. So where the hell are they at? So y'all, let me guess, y'all over here trying to find their family. Can't be trying to find their family if they're already designated to go over to the fucking paupers field. Girl, these people here, honey. NBC News was not able to confirm the accuracy of the information on the list, so it may include some misspellings or other errors. Okay, so NBC News also removed names of people listed as claimed or exhumed, including Dexter Wade, who was removed from the Poppers field and given a proper burial, okay, a proper funeral, after NBC News reported on authorities' failure to tell his mother he'd been killed. And we'll get into that, all right? So they have this list down here. It's a very long list. So this has black people on this list and white folks on this list, okay? This is wild. So they have an unknown person that died February 10th, 2019. Let me go back and check. Yeah, date of death. Okay. And then they saying that the name is unknown, the age is unknown. They just know that it's a male and he's a black man as of March 29th. He was buried on March 29th, 2019. So the body damn near sat. Oh, well, the body sat over a month. February 10th, March 10th, that's 1 month plus some. Then they buried him. Girl, I cannot. That is just some crazy stuff. And I can't take it. This is just, because I was going to do this video last night, y'all, but I said, oh, this is eerie. This is eerie. And I couldn't. I said, I'm going to have to do it tomorrow. But, girl, this is just some eerie shit here. And then I'm just thinking about the people that could have been unalived by the hands of someone else, and how DNA and all kind of things have likely withered away, and you're not even going to be able to even really find out what happened to your person, whether they were unalived by natural causes, whether somebody else did something to them to cause their death. Like, I mean, how many people gonna really be able to identify what that is? I'm seeing a lot of these people seem to be over a certain age. Okay, so we got some 30-year-olds on this list, a lot of 60-year-olds, 80-year-olds. Ooh, I can't take it. Stephanie L. McDonald, girl, this is crazy. That is so sad. Like, to find out that your family member this whole time, if you just search this list, find out that your family member is buried behind a damn jailhouse or whatever, prison. This is insane. But I want to switch gears. I just wanted to start to give like a bit of this, background of what's been going on just a bit. NBC News decided to launch this investigation. I don't know what necessarily led them to launch this. I believe it was, I think they did say what led them to do this. I don't know if a lot of people could have reached out to them, but I think Dexter Wade's family kind of may have like triggered something for them to go out there and do like more research. And that's where we are. So let's go ahead and get into a few things. Let's see what this one here is. I think this may be the Dexter Wade story. So I want to talk about that, okay? So they're saying a mother reported her son missing in March. Police kept the truth from her for months. Imagine being out there on a search and you going to the people that you think can help you and they over there lying to you in your damn face. Ooh, all right. They're saying 7 months of searching for her lost son, okay, brought Betterson, I hope I'm saying her name correctly, brought Miss Wade to a dirt road leading into the woods past an empty horse stable and a scrap yard. They said the last time she'd seen her middle child, Dexter Wade, who's 37, was on the night of March 5th as he left home with a friend. She reported him missing, and Jackson police told her they'd been able to find him, okay? They'd been able to find him. No, I'm sorry. Okay. They'd been unable. Sorry. They haven't been able to find him. She said it wasn't until 172 excruciating days after his disappearance that she learned the truth. Dexter had been killed less than an hour. The baby had just walked out the house, honey. The man just walked out the house less than an hour after he left home. He was struck by a Jackson police car as he crossed a nearby interstate highway. Police had known Dexter's name and hers, but failed to contact her, instead letting his body go unclaimed for months in the county morgue. Baby. Now, it was early October, and she had finally been told where she could go to find her son. She pulled up to the gates of Hinds County Farm, her sister in the passenger seat. They said a sheriff's deputy and 2 jumpsuited inmates in a pickup told her to follow them. They bounced down the road and curved into the woods, crawling past clearings where rows of small signs jutted from the earth, each marked with a number. This is crazy. Girl, how long they been doing this? How long this has been what? Girl, I can't. I'm just thinking about how much they have gotten away with just having this burial ground back there unmarked. Girl, I can't. So she told her sister, girl, look at this. Would you believe they would bury someone out here? So the caravan came to the end of the road at another clearing with more markers. The deputy took one of her hands, her daughter the other hand, and they walked to the mounds of loosely packed dirt. They stopped at grave number 672. So I'm going to believe that it's more than 600 bodies out there. They just have a list of 215 is what it's seeming like to me. Okay, but let's keep going. So his mom is like, really? So they said she bent over, hands on her knees, and she cried out, her voice echoing off the surrounding trees. She says, I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. Whew. Mm, 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 mm. That's horrible. That's horrible. Growing up in Jackson, Dexter was a sweet little boy, sharp with computers, a leader among classmates, a lover of nice clothes, a dreamer who hoped one day to run his own business refurbishing old cars. That went awry in his teens when he got lost under the influence of older men who stole cars, did drugs. Okay, this is what his mom is saying. She was a single mother of three who worked at night. Okay, she goes on to say that she wasn't always around for Dexter, but she always bailed him out of jail and he always returned home. She says, although Dexter's boyhood aspirations did not come true, he and his girlfriend, Candace, had two daughters who remained a bright spot for him. Even after the couple's romantic relationship dissolved, even after Dexter served two stints in prison, okay, one for attempted auto theft and the other for armed robbery, according to Mississippi Department of Corrections, he was released in 2017. Now, when he got out, Dexter remained friends with Thomas and was a committed father. Now, although the Thomas, who's the baby mom, had full legal custody, Dexter talked to his daughters often, visited them in Gulfport, 3 hours away. During the summers, they came to stay with him. And then they go on to say that, according to the baby mom, she says he was sweet and loving, especially when it came to the kids. She says, but prison had clearly damaged him. You could look in his eyes and see he wasn't the same person. I could tell he was struggling mentally. All right. They said Dexter was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, according to his mom. Now, after starting medication, he decreased his illegal drug intake and stayed at home most of the day, cleaning and taking care of the yard. He liked to give homemade ice pops to kids on their street, handed food to people who didn't have homes, and occasionally sold sodas and chips in the neighborhood. He rarely left the house for more than a day or two without calling. He never showed signs of wanting to hurt himself ever, okay? His mom says he didn't seem like he was in a bad place, but I don't know what happened that particular day. All right. Now, on March 5th, his mom, who's a retired Nissan line technician, worked part-time as a home health aide, returned home and found one of her windows broken. Interesting. She and Dexter argued about it, and around 7:30 p.m., he left with a friend. Days passed without a word, and on March 14th, Betterston called the Jackson Police Department to report him missing. Now, the decision to call the police was difficult for her, and she did not trust them. She says in 2019, her 62-year-old brother died after a Jackson officer slammed him to the ground. So they was familiar with her family, it appears. The officer was convicted of manslaughter, but is appealing. So it seems like he's still appealing it to this day. Now, her family filed a wrongful death lawsuit accusing Jackson officers of excessive force and attempting to cover up their actions, and accusing the city of failing to properly train and supervise the officers. The city has denied the claims and said it isn't liable for what happened. The officers' lawyer said they acted responsibly and lawfully. A federal judge dismissed some of her claims, others remain pending in the state court. So then my question is, how are y'all going to explain this situation then, knowing that her son was hit by a car and they withheld information and didn't want to tell her what the fuck was going on? And now that I see that her family already had a case against y'all about knew what direction and where this was really finna go. So y'all decided to withhold information as long as possible, but it really wasn't helping y'all, because now y'all giving her even more of a reason to be on your ass and to sue you for whatever, and to get whoever was the person that hit her son removed from the force. So y'all only giving her the ammunition she needs to apply the pressure even harder than what it was, applied before. Okay, so they're saying that Betterston said her mother advised her not to call the police about Dexter. Her mama didn't even want her to call. She said, my mama told me they're not going to do anything, but I had to do something to find Dexter, and I thought that was the best way. So an investigator came to her house and took a statement. Okay, she emailed the investigator a picture of her son. He left a card with the case number on it. 2 days later, she emailed a different investigator another photo of her son. The original investigator filed an incident report that misspelled Dexter's name as Dexter with an S. Child, they did that shit on purpose. Because, girl, ain't no way you finna mix the X and the S up. You just not finna do it. She goes on to say that she kept in regular touch with police, asking for updates and requesting that they put his picture on TV. She did her own search, checking out abandoned homes and driving around her neighborhood, asking if anyone had seen him. She never found the friend who left home with him. So now I'm wondering what happened to the friend. Was it a woman? Was it a man? Is the friend potentially buried back there too, child? I'm just trying to find out what the hell really going on. So they're saying that Dexter teen daughters and their mother grew frantic, calling for news. Okay, now they said the girls would ask, did you hear from my daddy? We just kept praying he was all right. They said a close friend of hers accompanied her on searches of the neighborhood and watched as stress and desperation wore on her. They said she called someone every week and asked about her child. She couldn't get it off her mind. She was crazy about that boy. Each time she called, police told her they had no information. It turned out that the Jackson Police Department had the answers all along. They had the answers the whole damn time. They said the department did not respond to detailed questions and has not commented on or explained how it handled Dexter's death. After this article was published, a spokesperson for Jackson Mayor, they said emailed a statement to NBC News offering their sincerest prayers and condolences. Girl, F y'all. Whew. They said the spokesperson added in the interview that the police did not intentionally harm Dexter or his family. How the fuck do you know, spokesperson? How you know? How do you know that they didn't intentionally do that? Because I feel like y'all did intentionally do that by not notifying this woman of where the hell her child was. Y'all didn't even try to check the morgue. Y'all know y'all got all these bodies back there that's buried. Y'all ain't even try to go and see what's the names on that list, because she looking for her son. Let's see if he could possibly be back there in Popper's Field or something. So my question is that, how did y'all find out he was hit by a police officer? Did the police officer report it, or did y'all find out in a different way? I just have questions that need answers, girl, because it's not adding up. Okay, let's keep going. The spokesperson goes on to say there was miscommunication, but there was no malicious intent anywhere in this whole situation. Girl, fuck you, ma'am. How do you know? But obviously you're doing your job, right? You're hired to do a job. Even if you honestly believe that they had some malicious intent, the job you've been hired to do is to say otherwise. So, gotcha. Now, they go on to say this account has been pieced together with interviews with a Dexter's family and a coroner's investigator, along with court records and documents provided in response to the public records request, a crash report, incident reports, and coroner's office records. Okay, they go on to say that Dexter's mom also shared personal notes, emails, Dexter's death certificate, a coroner's report, and case information cards provided to her by the police. Those materials show that just before 8 p.m. on March 5th, Dexter was walking across Interstate 55, a 6-lane highway, when a Jackson police SUV driven by an off-duty corporal struck him in the southbound lanes. Now, my question is this, I'll be honest, a 6-lane highway, why was he even near the highway trying to walk across the Interstate 55? That really don't even damn sound right to me. He trying to walk across it, a 6-lane interstate highway. And I understand he may have been bipolar or schizophrenic, but you want me to believe that this man was trying to walk across a 6-lane interstate highway at 8 p.m. at night? Something about that, I could be crazy. Like, I know y'all gonna get me together in the comments, because that's just how y'all is. But it's not adding up. So let me know what y'all come up with, because it's not making sense. I'm like, so I don't think that happened. I feel like he got struck on the side, as y'all saw him probably walking along the interstate or something. And then now I'm questioning if the incident even happened on the fucking interstate, because if he's walking across the interstate and this man got hit and he was unalive, I would think that's going to stop interstate traffic. But then I'm like, because they're saying 6-lane highway. Okay, yeah. So I would think that's going to stop some type of traffic. Y'all done hit somebody and clapped them. Wouldn't that be on the news and it was bad, and y'all talk about how it was backed up and this, and y'all can't go pull up those news reports or nothing? There's an accident on Interstate 55. Looks like a man has been hit. Traffic is going to be slow over there in that area. Like something, y'all not going to say nothing? So that don't even fucking sound right. Now I don't even think the boy was killed along the side of the damn highway. Even if it was on the side of the highway, in the middle of the highway, like, it's just, I don't believe that. I don't know. I don't know if I believe all of that. I just don't. I wonder if his mom recalls anything happening around that time of an accident happening on Interstate 55, a 6-lane damn highway at 8 o'clock at night on March 5th. Like, I just, not making sense, okay? So they give us a layout of the land, okay? This is Dexter's final minutes, all right? They say Dexter Wade was less than a mile from his mother's house when he was struck and killed by an off-duty officer. So my question is this. Did he walk from his house? Because they said that he was less than a mile. Okay, so I guess him walking from here to here. When you're walking a mile, I would think that, how long is that? Is that like 10 minutes, 15 minutes? So maybe it didn't take him long to walk from his house to here, but why would he walk across the fucking interstate? That just don't make sense to me. And that's where he was on top of here? And he done got on the interstate, he's walking alongside? That don't make sense to me. I'm sorry. That just don't make sense. Now I can see him walking under the bridge of the interstate to get to the other side. But why the fuck would he be walking across? That don't make sense, okay? Something's not adding up. So they say the corporal who alerted police to the collision was not injured. He was not suspected of being under the influence of drugs or alcohol and was not given field sobriety test, nor was he cited for any traffic violations. The death was ruled accidental. My question is, was he on duty at the time that he hit him, or was he an off-duty officer at the time that he hit him, is what I'm wondering, okay? Did they say that and I just wasn't paying attention as I'm reading or something? But let's keep going. They said Dexter suffered severe injuries, including to his head. A toxicology report later noted that Dexter had PCP and methamphetamine in his system. This right here, I wonder, I question, because I don't even believe the story about him leaving his house and crossing over this main damn interstate. This looks like a main interstate. 6 lanes. And you want me to believe this man was walking across it? Something about that don't make sense. And then now y'all say he had PCP and methamphetamine in his system. I hope his mom, even though it's 7 months later, I don't know how long that drug and stuff stay in your system, but if it's going to be in there for a while, I hope she's able to get another autopsy ran and find out whether or not he really did have those drugs in his system, because I just don't trust it. Because at this point, for me, the coroner's office and the police department and whoever be burying people back there, all in fucking cahoots, period. An investigator from the Hinds County coroner's office responded to the scene. He did not find identification on Dexter while examining him, but found a bottle of prescription medication in his pocket with his name on it. So if you found that with his name on it, and then it probably links it back to, see, See, now it's too many. It's too many thoughts. My head's like this because I got too many thoughts. Okay, so if you found a prescription medication in his pocket with his name on it, then chances are you would have saw which pharmacy he got it from. Therefore, you can go to that pharmacy, find out details from the pharmacy, get whatever documentation that you need to get in order for them to provide that to y'all, and then you could have found out who his person of contact was, which I'm sure was likely his mama. So then y'all would have been able to find her and notify her, like, y'all dropped the ball on that. And then here's the other gag for me. The fact that this man had prescription medication in his pocket with his name on it, for me, lets me know. Well, I ain't gonna say lets me know, but it leads me to believe that although he had, schizophrenia and bipolar, that he was likely taking his medication to make sure he stays in the proper headspace. So with that being said, I'm still having a hard time believing why this man would be walking along the interstate or crossing over the interstate when he's in his right mind. Like, something about that does not make any sense for me. Like, it just don't make sense. Okay. It don't. I'm confused. They're gonna have to paint a better picture of that for me. And you didn't find his identification, but you found his prescription medication. I feel like that boy had his ID on him too. I really feel like that boy had his ID on him. I don't care what y'all talking about. Y'all may have done away with his identification, but at this point, anything is possible because you guys are not to be trusted. Okay. Let's keep going. They say 3 days later, on March 8th, the investigator La Grand Elliott contacted the medical facility that had been provided the prescription and received Betterson's name as Dexter's next of kin. Didn't I just say that? Okay, according to Elliott's case notes. Now, Elliott said he called the number listed on Betterson's in the facility records and left a voicemail but got no answer. Did you really? Now, she confirmed that the number Elliott said he called was correct, but she doesn't remember receiving a call from him at all and was not able to access her Boost mobile phone records to check because his ass ain't called. And if you can call, you can locate her address. Hello? Hello? If you can give her a call, then you also can locate where the fuck she lives. Because here's the gag, too. If this man got out of prison not too long ago, or whenever, like 2017, whenever he got out, and he died, well, last year, chances are, I mean, they could potentially be staying in the same damn house. And y'all likely needed an address on file to be able to identify where the hell he's about to go to. You know what I'm saying? Once he get out of prison, where are you getting discharged to? Where are you going to? Are you going over there? Okay. So, I mean, y'all had so many different ways of pulling up the details to find out where his family is, and y'all dropped the ball completely. And that definitely leads one to believe that y'all were trying to hide details based on the fact that they family was about to have y'all hoes tied the hell up the last time when her brother was killed at the hands of one of y'all officers. But let's keep going. All right. They let us know that Elliott confirmed Dexter's identification on March 9th, okay, when the state crime lab said his fingerprints matched those it had on file for him. Elliott said in an interview that he passed what he'd found, a phone number and an address, to Jackson Police Department Accident Investigation Squad so they could notify her. Why the fuck would you go so far to call her phone and leave a message, but then not just go ahead and go to her house and notify her? Why would you then pass it back to Jackson Police Department for them to do it? You the investigator too. Was that out your jurisdiction for you to go over there to her house? Because I would think it's out your jurisdiction to give her a damn call too. So I don't know. Something's not adding up, guys. Once we get the information, I turn it over to the police because it is their jurisdiction. See, I'm asking all the right questions, I feel, because as I'm going through this article for the first time, they answering the questions that I have. So they can do the proper death notification. And I got that. But then why did you call? Because if you would have got her on the phone, you would have notified her that, hey, your son has died. He's located here. So now you want to pass the number because you left a voice message, right? So it's giving contradiction to me. You got the phone number, then you had the address, and then after she didn't answer the call, once you left a message, you passed it over to them. That don't make no sense to me. I believe you would pass it over to them, but don't say it's their jurisdiction when you've already went beyond the jurisdiction to even give her a call. It's not making sense. Anywho, Betterston says she turned to Facebook where she posted pictures of Dexter with her phone number pleading for him or anyone who saw him to call. Now, on March 15th, the day after she reported Dexter missing, Elliott followed up with Jackson police for updates. No kin has been located as of yet, he wrote in his notes. Elliott made another phone call, a follow-up call on March 30th, and was told there was nothing new. That's what he said. He called to get an update. Okay, so the following day, the coroner's office asked the Hinds County Board of Supervisors for approval to bury Dexter's remains in a pauper's field in Hinds County, in the Hinds County farm. As the request was being filed, the mother posted another photo on Facebook of him. Have anyone saw my son? Please call his mother. Okay, so these are the posts that she made, asking if everybody or anybody has seen her son. Now, the Board of Supervisors approved the coroner's burial request on April 3rd. 4 days later, Elliott called Jackson police again. No new details, okay? On May 7th, she posted on Facebook again, pleading for her son. 2 days after that, Elliott called the police again for an update. This is what Elliott's saying he's doing. This is what Elliott's saying he's doing all these damn calls and all these damn updates. You keep calling the police. You already had her damn number. Why you ain't keep applying pressure calling that number that you left a fucking voicemail for? Some ain't, it's not clicking. All right. So, anywho, June 18th was Father's Day. On Facebook, she also pleaded for Dexter. She says, I'm trying to find you, but no one knows what's happened to you. I wish someone would have saw you. I love you very much. Please come home. Now, on July 14th, with no one claiming Dexter's body, the county buried him in a field in that Hinds County farm or whatever, okay, among other unclaimed bodies. Now, she goes on, she was still searching, talking about how much she missed him, his kids miss him, family, all of that. She wrote that on July 16th. Meanwhile, her son is somewhere in this damn field. Girl, I can't take it. Throughout the rest of July, she called missing persons investigators and got no news. The lead investigator told her he was retiring at the end of the month, and a new investigator called her August 13th to say she was taking over the case. Less than 2 weeks later, on August 24th, the new investigator called her and to tell her that she had found Dexter and that an officer would come to see her in person. It took somebody completely outside of y'all department or whatever to find. It took that for them to find her son when y'all had her son the whole fucking time and never even tried to reach out. That's wild. Anywho, what else? She says, the mother says, when she said that, I knew he was dead. Like, the moment that the girl said that she found him, the police officer gonna call her, she said she knew her son was gone. The officer, a member of the accident investigations unit, met her at her house. She said he told her that Dexter had been hit by a police cruiser while trying to cross the highway. Girl, I'll never get over this, trying to cross the highway. So my cousin died a few years back. I think he was traveling from Texas. I think he was coming back to Alabama, but I think he was taking a route from Texas through Louisiana. And we found out he died, and they tried to say that he got pulled over for whatever reason. And they were trying to say that he was trying to flee the police or something. And he was running across the street and got hit by a transfer truck or something like that. And I always questioned how true that story was, but his mom never went the further extent to even like research it. So I'm just like, that's, you know what I'm saying? That's your child. You move with that how you choose. But I always kind of like question that story and whether that was true, because I'm like, that sounds like a person that's like suicidal or wants to, like, you know what I'm saying? That could have been the case, but you know, I'm just like, apply the pressure to make them prove to you that that's exactly what it was that happened. Like, I don't know. But, you know, rest in peace to him. But as I'm reading this young man's story, it's making me think of my cousin. And I'm just like, I don't even know if I even, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I didn't really believe his story then. But as I'm reading this, I really don't believe what they're saying about this woman's son. And it's just not making fucking sense. It's crazy. But y'all let me know, because I could be tripping, but I'm just like, it's not, I think she has a case or whatnot. It's not adding up. But anywho, let's keep getting into this. All right. Now they're saying that the mother was weeping. She asked the investigator for more details. He told her to call the coroner's office. All right. So that's when she found Elliott, the person that says that he called her phone. She says she found him He told her he'd known Dexter's name since the day he died and had passed the information to the police. And he told her about the Parker's burial. But you ain't tell her that you called her phone and left a fucking voicemail? Did you tell her that? So, anywho, she couldn't understand why police told her for months they didn't have answers when they had the truth from the start. Ooh, they had me looking for him all the time, and they knew who he was. She wondered if it had anything to do with her brother's death and her allegations against the police in that case. She says maybe it was a vendetta. Maybe they buried my son to get back at me. All right. Thomas said she and her daughters were gutted. The hardest thing I ever had to do is tell my girls that their dad is never coming back. Okay. She added, I just wanted someone to answer for what happened. I want to know what really happened. Okay, bet. That's the part. What really happened? Because the story y'all giving is not where it's not. So they're saying that his mom tried to get as close as she could to the spot where Dexter died. She hoped it would help her understand what he was doing on the highway, but walking the area, which is lined with concrete barriers, did not clear anything up. Okay. They're saying that she also began to doubt the official timeline. She didn't see how Dexter could have made it from her house to the scene of the accident in less than a half hour on foot. That's kind of what I was wondering, because I'm like, okay, if it's less than a mile, then maybe him walking, he would have gotten there on time, within like under 20 minutes or within 20 minutes. But then my thing is like, it still doesn't make sense as to why he would leave his house with a friend, go to the interstate and try and cross over the interstate. Cross over the interstate for what? Walk alongside the interstate, but cross over it? So she wondered if someone gave him a ride. So did somebody? That's what I'm wondering too. Did they give him a ride and put him out? Did they put him out in the middle of the damn interstate? That don't make sense either. Like, girl, what? She says, I just feel like something else must have happened because it just doesn't make sense. And I'm with you because it doesn't. All right. She paid the coroner's office $250, a $250 fee to claim her son. Why the fuck would she need to pay y'all anything when y'all had her son the entire time and y'all knew who the hell he was? So now I feel like it's so many other layers to this, because I feel like in order for y'all to get money, even when y'all know who the family members belong to, y'all don't tell them because one, they likely died at the hands of maybe somebody y'all know, maybe an official or whatever, and y'all don't want that tea to come out. And then the other party is when they do find out that y'all have the person's body, y'all charge them money to get the fucking body back. That's one of the reasons why y'all don't even notify the people where they at. Like, it's just so many different layers to this bullshit. And it's really sad. All right. She says it took several more weeks to figure out where he was buried and how to find him. Girl, that is crazy. She made the appointment to see his grave on a Tuesday afternoon in early October at a plot number 672. She says, Dexter, I want to tell you I am so sorry. She says, I'm so sorry this happened to you, but mama didn't know. Mama did not know. That is so sad. Child, they said she began to sob. I always loved you and I miss you. Farewell, baby. Farewell. They got into their cars back on the dirt road. She began planning the next step in her ordeal, finding the money to get her son out of that hole and into a proper grave, a place where everybody could see his name. Shout out to John Shupe. I don't even know if I'm saying your name properly, but shout out to you, sir, for covering this motherfucking story. Okay. And I believe that you did this one here too. I think you were, yep, you were. You wrote that one. Shout out to you, honey, for getting in the weeds of it and getting these very clear details. Okay. We love getting all of the details of what's really going on. I appreciate it. That's crazy. I hate that she had to suffer and go through that. I hate her son had to go through that. I understand he has a, criminal history or whatnot, but it doesn't mean that at the time that he died, that he was doing anything against the law. He wasn't doing anything criminal. Okay. So for him to be hit by that car and stuff, not cool. Not cool. I do not believe. Y'all let me know. I just don't believe he was walking alongside no damn interstate. But let's get to the next one. All right. I'm gonna pause that one for now. So they're saying they just threw him away. Another Jackson, Mississippi man was buried without his family's knowledge. And this is Mario, I hope I'm saying the name right, Moore. He was 40, was beaten to death in February. Authorities buried him in a pauper's grave in July. His family didn't find out until October. So the man died in February and y'all put his ass in a pauper's field in July. How many months later is that? Yeah, bruh. This is a lot. Marquetta Moore was lying on her sofa at home on the night. Let me see if John did. John is on it, baby. John did this one too. Marquetta Moore was lying on her sofa at home on the night of October 10th when she got a text from her aunt. It was a link to an article revealing that Jackson police had failed to notify the public about dozens of homicides that year. Last year. Girl, what? Now they're saying Marquetta clicked on it, wondering why her aunt thought she'd be interested. Then she scrolled to the list of 24 homicide victims. The second name was her older brother's Mario Moore, 40, had been killed on February 2nd. Ooh, Lord. Damn. This was news to Marquetta and to the rest of her family. She shuddered and started to cry. Lord, this is my brother. Someone done killed my brother. Okay. And it's about to be a year. It's coming up on a year from my understanding. All right. It was after 8 p.m. and she was in her pajamas. She put on a jacket and shoes and went to the Jackson Police Department downtown headquarters looking for an explanation. An officer told her no one was available. Over the next couple of days, Marquetta and her relatives, dazed and stricken, gradually learned bits of information about what happened when at each step grew angrier and more hurt. Okay. They say Mario had been bludgeoned to death, wrapped in a tarp, and left on the street. For months, his body had lain in the Hinds County morgue unclaimed. Then on July 14, inmates at the burial ground had buried his remains in a pauper's field. Now the news wrecked Mario's mother, who has not come to terms with his death and what authorities did to his body without her knowing. She says, "What are you hiding? Why can't you just come and just tell somebody that their child is gone?" Girl, and I don't know who bludgeoned him to death, but now that they're able to get their family member back, girl, I pray to God they find out who is responsible for his death. Okay, now Mario was buried the same day and in the same place as Dexter Wade, a Jackson man whose death sparked public outrage and calls for a federal investigation when NBC News reported on it last month. Okay, now they go on to give us more details of what we already know. Dexter Wade was struck and killed by an off-duty Jackson police officer. That's what I was wondering, if he was on duty or off duty. Okay, they said while crossing a 6-lane highway on March 5th, authorities failed to notify his mother, who reported him missing to Jackson police a few days later and buried him without her knowledge. The Jackson mayor had blamed a communication failure and expressed regret, but the city has declined to answer any more questions. Now, both cases expose failures of a system designed to ensure that families are notified when their loved ones die and are given the chance to claim their bodies. Okay. Let's see. They said in the days after learning about his death, Mario's family sought explanations from the Jackson Police Department and Hinds County Coroner's Office. They recorded conversations with officials from both agencies and provided copies to NBC News. NBC News also obtained documents about the case through public records requests. The recordings and documents showed that authorities said they made attempts to contact Mario's family, but did not do enough to find his mother and other relatives in Jackson who say they would have claimed him. Y'all made attempts to call the family, but y'all didn't try and reach out to the very person that would take him before anybody would, his fucking mama. A Hines County coroner's office investigator said in a report that she called Mario's brother, but the phone number didn't work. A police commander told the family that a detective left a card at Mario's mother's house, but neither his mother, brother, nor two sisters recalled being contacted by anyone responsible for reaching his next of kin. Y'all ain't calling no fucking body. The coroner's office and the Jackson Police Department did not comment. I bet y'all didn't. Mario led an internet life. I feel like I said that wrong, but they said often went months without seeing his closest relatives, so they did not report him missing in the months after he was killed. But the family says that should not have mattered. They were not hard to find. Okay, they just, oh well. She says they just, oh well, he ain't got nobody. I guess she meant to say they just went, oh well, he ain't got nobody, and they just threw him away. Okay, this is what the mom was saying. Mario, the oldest of 5 siblings and the father of an adult daughter, was loved by his family. He was humble and thoughtful. He worked maintenance and construction jobs and most recently collected shopping carts at a grocery store. He read a lot. He was able to talk to just about anyone about virtually anything, religion, politics, what was happening on the street. This is what his family wants people to know about him. He was very smart and intelligent. He just happened to struggle with things of the world. Okay. They said that he had a 20-year drug habit. With that, perhaps because he had been raised in a devout Christian home, came feelings of guilt, his family said. He seemed in constant motion. He walked fast, like he always had to be somewhere. He moved around within Jackson and also temporarily to more distant places like Atlanta and Indiana. He was convicted of car theft and grand larceny. He rarely shared what he was up to or where he was going. He usually stopped by his mother's house during holidays to eat, talk, and collect mail, and then he left. It was as if he didn't want to burden anyone, including the people who loved him the most. Girl, that is sad. If you tried to get too close to him, he knew what he was doing, and he knew somebody was going to tell him, you need to do this or do that. So he stayed away for the most part, because he basically didn't want nobody, I guess, shaming him because of his choices. Okay. So she says his family tried to keep in touch. His mother, stepfather, aunt, uncle, siblings at various points this year looked for him or tried calling him. They didn't find him, but that wasn't unusual. It didn't occur to them to report him as missing because he always pretty much go off the grid a little bit, is what it seems like they're saying. He wasn't missing. He just didn't want to be found. He didn't want to be seen, is what they were thinking. The last relative to see him was Marquetta, who ran into him at a corner store in January. She gave him $5, told him to be careful, and he assured her that he would, and quickly walked out of sight. She assumed they'd all see him around Thanksgiving. Okay. Around 10 a.m. on February 2nd, a cold and rainy day, a man called Jackson police to say he come across a body wrapped in a tarp. They go on to say, according to the reports by the Hines County Coroner's Office and the Jackson Police Department, the dead man had dozens of wounds to his face and his head, including skull fractures, indicating that he had been beaten. In one of the man's pockets were wet envelopes addressed to Mario Moore and a debit card with the name Mario Moore on it. A deputy medical examiner investigator. So see, when you say this man has been bludgeoned to death, this is giving somebody that knew him. Now, whether this was a close friend or possibly a girlfriend, this is just my assumption. Because typically if it was just like somebody off the street, and they probably more than likely a stranger gonna try to rob you for something. Okay. And they didn't even try to take anything out of his pocket, like his debit card and stuff was still there. So yeah, I would like to know what happened that caused him to be, murdered in this manner. Let's keep going. They said the man's body was taken to the county morgue, where the cause of death was determined to be homicide by blunt force trauma to the head. Now, on February 8th, fingerprint records maintained by the state crime lab confirmed the man's identity as Mario Moore. They said a search of the medical records led to a number for a brother whom Horn identified in her report as Gavin Moore. The number was not a working number, and the descendant remained unclaimed. All right. They said on March 31st, the coroner's office asked the Hines County Board of Supervisors for permission to bury him at the Parker's Field. On April 3rd, the board approved it. along with similar requests for 9 other bodies, including Dexter Ways, but a unanimous voice vote that lasted 12 seconds. Okay, by a unanimous voice vote that lasted 12 seconds. The burial happened on July 14th. NBC News requested from Hinds County any records documenting efforts to notify Mario's next of kin. Those records do not indicate that the county did anything more. Mario's family, including his mother, who have lived for 20 years in a house 2 miles from where his body was found and where he received child support bills and other mail, knew nothing about this. And months had passed, and this lady's still living in the same motherfucking house y'all could have came and found this lady, but y'all wasn't trying to find her, and then y'all gonna sit up there and call a damn number or say you called a number that was no longer in service. Whew, girl, the lies the people will come up with. Now, on October 9th, they said the local NBC affiliate reported that the Jackson Police Department had just released the names of 24 homicide victims that had not been previously disclosed. And that's where Mario's name was on that list. A commander told the station that it had been an accidental oversight and blamed the communication. Y'all love these. It's an accidental oversight. It's a communication failure. No, it's giving you hoes ain't doing your job. And it's giving it's intentional at this point. Okay? Now, Mario's uncle, who works for the Hinds County Sheriff's Office, saw the list and shared it with his wife, who texted the link to Mary and Marquetta, the sister. Okay, the family's first thought was to protect Mary. A grandchild snuck onto her phone and deleted the text so that they could break the news to her in prison once they knew more. Okay, then they started searching for answers. Now, on October 11th, the morning after Marquetta had gone to Jackson Police Headquarters, she and Mercedes left a message at the county coroner's office. Horn, the deputy medical examiner investigator, called them back, and they said that the sisters asked why they weren't told about her brother's death or their brother's death. So the investigator, the medical examiner investigator, told him that the coroner's office had shared information with Mario's identity with Jackson Police. It's up to their detectives and everybody to reach out. That's what he said. Horn could not be heard identifying herself on the recording, but she did identify herself on another recording the family shared. State law says the coroners shall make reasonable efforts to notify members of the descendant's family, which I do fucking believe, okay? If a body goes unclaimed after 5 days, county authorities can bury it. The state medical examiner's office and the state board on law enforcement officer standards and training said they leave it to local agencies to develop specific policies on death notifications. Call them out. Get y'all tea together. A Hinds County Coroner's Office representative has said that it generally relies on police to notify families of people who have been killed, and that the investigators typically work closely with the Jackson Police on the process. At the time of Mario's death, but see, that still don't really make sense. That's what y'all say. Y'all say y'all rely on the police, but then why is somebody out of the medical examiner's office or whatever, an investigator calling family members and then saying that, oh, I couldn't get in touch with them? I called such and such. So it seems like y'all don't rely on them. Y'all may rely on them after y'all may have, quote unquote, made the attempts. But my question is, do y'all actually make the attempts that y'all say y'all make? Anywho, the state medical examiner's office and the state board on law enforcement officer training said they leave it to them or whatever. So a Hinds County coroner's office representative has said that it generally relies on the police to notify them. At the time of Mario's death, the Jackson Police Department did not have formal policy on death notifications. What you mean y'all didn't have a formal policy? Jackson's police chief recently said the department had enacted a new policy. Girl, I guess. On the call with Horn from the coroner's office, the sister started by asking where was the brother's body. Horn said Mario was in a massive grave. He's buried already. She says, ain't no way, ain't no way. Okay, this is audio of Mario's sister speaking to Stephanie Horn. I'm not going to play it, you guys. Y'all can go to the article if you want to hear it. When the sisters pressed her, Horn explained that Mario's gravesite was in an undisclosed location where inmates and unclaimed people are buried. To get more information, including an autopsy report and the exact location where their brother was buried, Horn said they would first have to go to the Jackson Police and provide proof that they were Mario's family. Child, we guess, Tyner. After the call, the sister said they contacted their mother's pastor and asked her to meet them at Mary's home to deliver the news. When everyone arrived, Marquetta recalled she told her mother Mario's gone. The mother said, "Girl, quit playing with me." And then she responded and said, "For real, Mom, Mario is gone." Mary broke down. She was in disbelief. But when her daughters told her about the conversation with Horn, she knew it was true. There was so much they still didn't know. They kept asking investigators for explanations. Instead, they got conflicting information. On October 12th, a homicide detective went to Mary's home and told the family that Mario had an ID on him when he was found. The detective said he went to 2 homes believed to be the address, but nobody was there. Didn't they say, I'm tripping, I could have sworn they said Mario mama been living in the same house for 20 years. Didn't they say that? I could have sworn that's what they said. Didn't I read that? That she had been staying in the same house? Or was that the last woman that had been staying in the same house for 20 years? I feel like it's this woman that's been staying in the same house for 20 years. So what 2 fucking addresses did y'all go to? Okay, so anywho, the detective said he went to 2 homes believed to be his address, but nobody was there. It looks like the mom said whatever happened to him, this is February and this is October. She says, and I'm still getting mail here, but you all are telling me that you all couldn't find the next of kin? Mary told the detective, who the family says identified himself as Joshua Johnson, the detective listed in police documents on the case. She says, if my son was a person out there that went and committed a crime, you all would have found the next of kin. You all would have found him. You all would have come knocking at my fucking door looking for him. I know that's damn right. Come on, Miss Mary. I'm on your side now. I'm with you, okay? I am with you. So they go on to say that Mary continued grilling him on the delays. So he responded and said, "Ma'am, I don't want to tell you all any lies." He says, "We couldn't find no next of kin. Nobody was out there." You are a dog-faced lie. You're lying. I just refuse to believe that they're telling the truth on this. I need to log something real quick. But I don't believe that. Give me 1 second, you guys. I needed to log something real quick. All right. So, because I feel like she probably was the one that was staying in the same, had been staying in the same house for many years. Don't quote me, but I also feel like if you found the brother, you could have found the sister. Like, there were people out there y'all could have found. Like, come on now. I just having a hard time to believe in it. But anywho, he told them that Mario's homicide was a cold case. Case was cold and that the police had no leads and they left. Oh, yikes. So one day later, okay, Commander Abraham Thompson, who oversees homicides, okay, that detective, or he oversees those homicide detectives, visited the family at Mary's home and told them that there was no photo ID on Mario. Huh? I could have sworn that the coroner's office said that there was an ID on Mario. Who did not have an ID was Dexter Wade, because they said Dexter Wade had a prescription, but he did not have his ID. Now, when I read, girl, let me search ID in this thing, because I'm just like, I know that they said the man had a ID. Am I tripping? Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. On October 12th, a homicide detective went to Mary's home and told the family that Mario had an ID on him. So why the hell would the commander Abraham Thompson come to her and say that Mario did not have a photo ID on him? I know I ain't fucking crazy now. So he also told them that he'd seen body camera footage showing Johnson leaving a card with his information on it at Mary's home on February 9th. Where is the footage? You got camera footage showing that the man left it. Where the fuck is the footage at? So the Jackson Police Department denied a public records request for this footage. So y'all denied the footage, but you sat up here and let your commander sit up here and motherfucking lie and say that they got footage of it being dropped off. Well, release it, because I'll be eager to prove my point if I was y'all. So Thompson, who identified himself on a recording shared by Mario's family, told them that police could have done more to find the next of kin, but the coroner's office bore some responsibility as well. So this is what Mr. Abraham is saying. So now, Mr. Abraham Thompson, okay, you say the boy didn't have no ID, so that's where we caught you in a lie right there. And then you talk about you got camera footage showing that y'all had left a card of information at Mary's house, but then now y'all won't release the footage. But then you can admit that y'all could have done a better job of finding the next of kin, but you don't want to solely take on responsibility, so you want to throw it off of there over there on the coroner's office. Baby, listen, shout out to John over there at NBC News, baby, because the way he write in this article, baby, it's giving you all the details and it's showing you all the cap. So he said the situation made him reflect on what the police department could do better in the future. I tell people all the time, I'm human too. I don't give a fuck about none of that, sir. We don't. We don't. We don't. I'm human too. No, do your fucking job. Stop trying to connect with me on just a human level. Because if you would have connected with me on a human level, you would have saw just how it is, how important it was for a family to be notified that their relative was dead. Okay? Cut it out. All right? He says, and she said she shot back at him and said, my son was a human being. Come on, baby. My son was human too. Come on, bitch. And so am I. And so Thompson responded and said, absolutely. He was treated like he was a dog in the street. That's how he was treated. And I say, listen, I kind of want to hear this conversation. Girl, let me see if they're going to let me press play on this. I kind of want to hear it. Let me see.
I came here to accept everything that you have to say. I only came here to answer any unanswered questions. And I only came here to use this situation to know that we're going to make it better. Right? Because I tell people all the time, I'm human too.
I don't give a fuck about
They're
you.
human too.
And my son was a human being.
Absolutely.
He was treated like he was a dog in the street. That's the way he was treated.
And I know you have that to say because of how maybe the coroner's office handled it or how
the coroner's office handled it.
I don't think so.
I mean, I can only say,
read,
you know, what our
because he's trying to
standards are.
manipulate you.
Okay,
soft
tell
tone.
me this here.
Yes, ma'am.
Your standards wasn't to get in contact with the next of kin.
That's automatic. That's what we're supposed to do.
Okay, but you all didn't.
Ooh, but you all didn't, okay? Later in the conversation, Thompson admitted that leaving a card wasn't enough to notify the family. He says, we could have did better. I said we could have did a better job of trying to make sure that we stay consistent and persistent with trying to find the next of kin, leaving a card in the door, question mark. He said, oh, he might felt that that was sufficient. Let me just play this. No, I don't feel that it was. We could have. Let's listen.
And I told them yesterday one thing. That I will not do. I would like to say, Ms. Moore, that the police department are my men and women do things right all the time. But I would be lying to you. I would be doing a disservice to tell you that, hey, we get it right all the time. We don't. Right?
Okay, so what is you all purpose?
Come on, baby. Bring him the energy.
Protecting? I've been a resident. I pay tax. That's what makes y'all paycheck.
Right, I agree.
Okay, so why didn't no one think it was enough for me to know about my son?
Yes.
Because if my son had committed a crime, you all would have knocked at my door.
Right.
And you all would have kind of said, we're looking for Mario Moore.
Come on,
And
man.
But I don't understand. My child is dead.
Ooh, girl,
I can't have a proper burial because somebody felt like they could make his choices and decisions for him. They could say what he is and what he's not. They can sign off on things that, I mean, if I wouldn't have never got the news clipping, this was February.
Mm-hmm. And let me say,
this is October.
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, that's just, girl, that did something to me. I want her to go off. I feel like all the rage that she's feeling inside, I want her to really lash out on him. But it wouldn't do nothing, honestly. But because he's not the only person that played a role. You know, he's there representing the police department and whatever else. So it's so many people that dropped the ball with this. But I wish she could just like go in and just let him have it. And she probably did, as she should have. And you got the audacity to sit in this woman's face and tell her, I'm human. I don't give a fuck about you being human right now. Because my son was a human too, which is what she said, okay? Her son was a human, so we don't give a fuck about you being a human in this moment. Because if you was a human, you would have made sure that we were notified or they were notified exactly how they should have been. So I just, girl, get out this lady face with this. Anywho, they said Mary began the process of recovering her son's body. And then y'all had the audacity not care about her being human too and how she lost her child. How y'all got him in unmarked graves and she got to sit up here and pay $250 to reclaim the rights of his remains. Girl, y'all be killing me how y'all be snatching folks up and then just automatically assume the rights of them. Like people didn't give birth to them, regardless of how they existed in this world. I can't. A coroner's office staffer told her it would cost another $500 to have Mario exhumed. Not $250 for her to claim him and then got to turn around and get him exhumed for $500 when y'all didn't even do a good job of putting him down in the fucking ground anyway, in a fucking bag. I can't take it. I cannot. I just got the audacity. Y'all, ooh. Girl, these people do not give a damn when it comes to money. Just pay them. Don't give a damn about your emotions. We sorry for your loss, but run us that check. Like, girl, what is going on? The family asked the funeral home for help. A representative warned them that there wouldn't be much left of Mario's remains, just bones in a bag. At that point, that's when reality set in. Y'all disposed of people's bodies like animals, not even like animals, because people do animals better than that. Some animals do get proper burials. The more Mary thought about it, the more upset she grew. When they dig him up, I'm not going to be able to stand it once they begin to, okay? Instead of seeking him being exhumed and funeraled, him having a funeral, the family decided to hold a memorial for Mario without his body. They have not been told where exactly Mario is buried. NBC News has asked for his grave number in the pauper's field, but the coroner's office has not responded because they don't know. They just take him and throw him back there. The memorial was held October 20th at Mary's church. A pastor described Mario as a man who never lost his connection with God. Others recalled his charisma and intelligence and how he drew people into long conversations. The program included photos of him as a boy and a young man. Okay. Afterwards, Mary didn't go back home with the rest of the family. She and her husband took some time alone to think and try to find peace. Okay, she says it really didn't do anything because he was just a picture. It wasn't the person. The last time I'm going to see him is that picture. I'm not going to see him anymore. She still wants to know the truth of what happened to her son. It hurts bad that he's gone, but nobody thought that I was important enough to let me know about my child. Nobody thought that my family was important enough, and that is how she's feeling. I hate that, and I hope that they are able to get him, even if his body is gone. They saying it ain't gonna be nothing but some bones or whatever. Get this lady her child's fucking body, especially if she has paid y'all money, so that the proper investigators that they get or whatever can find out who exactly harmed her child, murdered her child, so they can get the hell up off the streets, because they getting ready to bludgeon somebody else. Okay. And at least she can get some type of closure and hopefully even find out what happened to her child during that time. Okay, Okay, but let's go ahead and let's get into more, because there is a third person that I want to get to. And this is a mother who searched for her son for months until NBC News discovered he'd been buried in a pauper's field. Okay, so they're saying this woman is Gretchen Hankins, and she was in the bed on a Friday night in May 2022 when her 39-year-old son leaned down with a hug and a kiss and told her he was going to meet friends for the weekend. He promised to return in time for Sunday dinner, but he did not come home. Jonathan David Hankins' mother and teenage daughter were accustomed to his leaving for a few days at a time. He suffered from a meth addiction and knew not to enter their house when he was using. But this time, something had gone clearly wrong, okay? They're saying that Gretchen went to Rankin County Sheriff's Office, where an investigator took a missing persons report. The sheriff's office announced the search of Jonathan on Facebook, shared the case with local media, and posted his information to a national law enforcement database. Girl, right out the gate, y'all handled this case differently than y'all handled different Dexter Wade when his mama was looking for him. I don't recall y'all, and I understand this may be a different county, but I don't recall that county sitting over there trying to make a Facebook post, share it to local media, or post any information on a national law enforcement database. In all honesty, what that mama said over there, Dexter Wade's mom said that she asked them to put it on the media. I don't think they did. She had to go and seek out somebody, a missing person. She had to go seek out a missing persons or something. And I think that they may have found out exactly where the hell her damn child was. She had to go find that. So, okay, y'all already going far for him. So they're saying that every few weeks for more than a year, Gretchen says she contacted the sheriff's office for news each time they told her they had nothing, and the anguish dragged on. So you mean to tell me every few weeks for more than a year? So wait, her son was gone for more than a year before she found out? She said it was pain, mental pain, because I couldn't imagine where he was at. I just couldn't. Okay. But investigators, the answer was always in reach. Okay. NBC News solved the mystery this fall in a matter of minutes as part of an investigation into people being buried in Hinds County, Paupers Field. Without their families' knowledge, reporters examined a register of all the recent burials and compared it with a publicly available list of missing Mississippians. Jonathan's name was on both. Now, after obtaining documents through public records request, and first of all, NBC did the cross-examining, is what it seems like, of missing Mississippians, and cross-examined it with the recent burials at the fucking Paupers Field. And you mean to tell me that y'all don't have nobody in Mississippi, in Hinds County, that does these different searches to be able to find it? And if you do got it, then this is a confirmation that they ain't doing their damn jobs. After obtaining documents through public records request to confirm the match, NBC News visited Gretchen at her home on December 4th and shared what reporters had learned. Jonathan had been found dead on May 23rd of 2020 damn 2. Girl, we in 2024. They sat down with her, it appears, in 2023. They said 3 days after leaving home in a hotel room in nearby Jackson. Okay, they said investigators quickly verified his identity, but the Hinds County Coroner's Office and the Jackson Police Department, which both responded to the scene, failed to tell his family, and the county buried him in a grave marked only by a number 645. So what was the number of the first lady's son? Was it 672? 672 was his number. And this woman's number was 645. Girl, these people. For Jonathan's relatives, learning the news turned the pain of not knowing into grief and anger. Anger at the people who didn't do their jobs. Anger at the months spent wondering if he was dead or alive. Anger at being unable to properly mourn. It feels like they threw him away like trash, she says. No caring, and no feeling. That's what his aunt says. The Hinds County Coroner's Office, already under fire for its handling of 2 cases in which next of kin notifications were similarly botched, did not respond to requests for comment. An attorney representing the Rankin County Sheriff's Office confirmed the overall facts of the case, but declined to answer questions about its handling of the missing persons report. The Jackson Police Department, which also faced criticism over the previous cases, adopted written protocols for how to handle death notifications last month. But Melissa Faith Payne, an agency spokesperson, said the department was not responsible for contacting family after recovering Jonathan's body. Melissa, your ass said something else similar when it came to the Jackson Police Department the last time, trying to say, yeah, it was a bit of miscommunication, but they did nothing wrong. Girl, you full of shit. That ain't how you really feel, but that's what you're getting paid to say. From the scene, the victim's body was immediately turned over to the Hinds County Coroner's Office for further investigation, including an autopsy. To this day, the Jackson Police Department has had no further confirmation with the Hinds County Coroner's Office concerning this case. We were never notified of the victim's cause of death or identity. And this is what the let me see. From the scene, the victim's body was immediately turned over to the Hinds County Coroner's Office for further investigation. So the spokesperson for the fucking police department is saying to this day that they had no further communication with the Hinds County Coroner's Office, and they were never notified of the person's cause of death or his identity. You mean to tell me they just gave a body over to you and they ain't give you nothing? Girl, you doing a different type of lying now. So the Hankins family has joined a growing list of people failed by a system that is supposed to ensure their relatives are told when a loved one has died, and are given a chance to hold a proper funeral. And they, of course, they speak on Dexter Wade and Mario Moore. They said Jonathan was buried in a nearby plot at the Hinds County farm on September 14th of 2022. Gretchen wants someone to be held accountable, to be fired, to change how the government handles such cases. She says, I want people to know that somebody is not doing their job and making folks go through what I've been through. Girl, look at all the markers. And a lot of these people do not know. That's 215 families, or at least I would say 212 families that do not know that they that do not know that their family members are back there. And keep in mind, the records from before 2016, they don't even got no records, or at least they're lost. How do you lose those governmental records like that? And I guarantee you it's a ton of those people that's sitting on the missing persons list that's probably been missing for decades, probably 30 damn years or more. And it's like, girl, all of this could have been resolved if y'all would have put lists out on a regular basis. At least put a list out every year. Make the list public every year or every quarter, to be honest, because nobody should have to go so long not knowing what happened to their family member, especially when y'all find out who the fuck these people are. Y'all put them in unmarked graves with just a number, but a lot of times y'all know exactly who the hell they are. That's what's killing me softly. Y'all need to give an updated list every fucking quarter or the end of every damn month. Matter of fact, y'all probably need to do it every damn week. Publish it every week. Y'all need to have it somewhere, a national public database, just like one would go and search on missing and exploited children if you're trying to look for who's missing or whatever. Y'all need to have a database for that, where a person can, when they looking for a family member, if y'all try to reach out and couldn't get in touch with them, they should be able to pull up that list and see on a weekly basis, is my family member here? Is my family member here? Is my family member here? Y'all got to do better with that shit. Y'all trash. I hope y'all get sued, and I hope y'all lose, if that's what it's going to take for y'all to learn y'all fucking lesson. Jonathan was Gretchen's only child. That is so sad. That was her only fucking child. Ooh, praise God that he left her a grandchild. But that was her only child. As a boy, he was funny, caring, loved football and math, and aspired to join the military. He could not enlist because he was born with one kidney. So he worked construction, where he picked up a drug habit, okay? She said Jonathan did several stints behind bars on charges related to drug use. Gretchen, a retired waitress and barber, paid for rehab 3 times for her son. Because of the drug use, she obtained custody of Jonathan's only child, which is Brooke, when she was 2. Jonathan lived with them. When he wasn't high, he was proud, loving, and an involved father, regularly attending Brooke's softball and volleyball games and developing a light-hearted, teasing relationship that sometimes made it seem as if he were her brother instead of her dad. The similarities are evident in 2 photographs on Gretchen's fireplace mantle. Jonathan and Brooke, both 5, with plumpy cheeks, broad smiles, and bright eyes. Okay, she felt like those were her 2 babies. Jonathan had been using meth again around the time he left for the weekend with friends on May 20th of 2022. She didn't ask for details about the trip, but promised to make him his favorite chicken and potatoes recipe when he got back. So she cooked the meal, and when he didn't show up, she started calling his good friends who didn't use drugs. When they told her they hadn't seen him, she assumed he was with the bad ones. When those friends called looking for him, she knew something was wrong. She started calling nearby hospitals and jails and posted on Facebook. She went to Rankin County Sheriff's Office and spoke to an investigator named Christian Detman. Detman documented the meeting in a report dated July 14th of 2022, saying he would list Jonathan and his car on the National Crime Information Center, a database of missing and unidentified people maintained by the FBI and accessible only to law enforcement. And see, this is what pisses me off. Because law enforcement, y'all have a full database that y'all can access. So when y'all act like y'all couldn't find the next of kin, go to this fucking database of people that's probably reporting their family members is missing. And I'm sure there are going to be details of somebody that you can contact to get the information back to the family. Y'all have dropped the ball. And Miss Payne or whatever the fuck your name is, Michelle, girl, I don't want to hear you come to the front and say a goddamn thing else, because you be giving straight cap and we tired. And girl, I hope your job is up for grabs. Okay? So a year passed and she lived in torment, not knowing where her baby was, thinking that her baby was out there. But authorities in Jackson knew where he was this whole damn time. On May 23rd of 2022, 3 days after Jonathan left home, staff at the Motel 6 on Interstate 55, because there we go with that damn interstate again, in Jackson, discovered a man's body inside of one of the rooms. Documents obtained through public records request shows this. Now, investigators arrived and found the man lying on his back in the bed in pajama pants. There was no sign of trauma, but he had been dead for a couple of days. Investigators did not find an ID, according to a coroner's office report. Okay, but see, if y'all didn't find an ID, were y'all at least able to find out from the Motel 6 individuals the name of the man that checked into this particular room? Were y'all able to do that type of investigation? So his body was taken to the Hinds County morgue. 4 days later, he was identified through fingerprints as Jonathan David Hankins. The coroner's investigator said he forwarded the information to a Jackson detective for a notification of the man's next of kin. The Jackson Police Department spokesperson said they never received the information. The documents estimate that he died May 21st, but do not mention a cause of death or results of toxicology tests, and the coroner's office had not provided the information. Now, girl, y'all both dropped the ball. There is no indication in the documents of what efforts, if any, the coroner's office or the Jackson Police Department made the contact to this man's family. And on August 26th of 2022, the coroner's office asked the Hinds County Board of Supervisors for permission to bury this man's body, and they received the request and approval. They received the request or the approval for that request two weeks later. Now, they go on to talk about in May of 2023, a friend of Jonathan created a missing person profile for him in the National Missing and Unidentified Person System. They said NamUs also hosts a data set where coroners can upload names of unclaimed persons, but Hinds County did not list Jonathan. So this is where coroners can go to update the names of the unclaimed people, but y'all did not list Jonathan on that list. See, this is where y'all definitely dropped the ball, coroner's office. And police, y'all, like, that's why I say y'all both in cahoots and y'all both dropped the ball, because if the coroner's office sends you over a body and you don't have a name and details, why are y'all not pressing them to get those name and details so you can finish up the file and the paperwork on that person and be able to provide the proper explanation to their family members? The fact that y'all didn't get this information and y'all did not apply pressure to get this information leads me to believe that y'all had no intentions on reaching out. Let's keep going. All right, the signs that Jonathan ended up in Jackson could have led Rankin County investigators to focus their search thereby calling the Hinds County Coroner's Office or the Jackson Police Department. But it's unclear whether the Rankin County investigators ever made those calls, okay? Let's see. They said Deadman, the investigator who took Gretchen's missing persons report, was fired in June and later pled guilty in federal court to torturing two men in an unrelated case that has drawn national media attention and additional scrutiny of the Rankin County Sheriff's Office. Baby, Gretchen later began talking to a new investigator who told her as recently as of October 30th, the sheriff's office was still working on the case. She says, I just trusted them to do their job. Okay, that's what she was doing, but that's crazy. Baby, not Deadman being the investigator, and then now his ass pled guilty in federal court to torturing two men. Deadman, what kind of investigator? Were you like a, let me see what Deadman was. Let me see what Deadman was. So he was the Rankins County spokesperson, investigator. Okay. And you over there torturing people, honey? Baby, that's wild. That's wild. The investigator who took Gretchen's missing, yeah, he was fired. Okay. Let's see what else. On December 4th, more than 18 months after Jonathan disappeared, an NBC reporter visited Gretchen and presented her with the documents that recorded Jonathan's death and burial. She examined them at her living room table, trying to process what they said, but the documents were not enough. Words on a page could be wrong. Photos wouldn't be. She needed to see a picture of his body, not his face, but his chest etched with his only tattoo. She stood from her dining room table and bolted to her minivan, leaving her brother in town from Arkansas. Okay, he was standing in the driveway. So at that point, Gretchen later says she still could not believe that Jonathan might be dead. For more than a year, she tried to put that thought aside and focus on the possibility that he was just in trouble or hiding somewhere. Hearing from a reporter who said he had answers didn't persuade her. Others had contacted her claiming to know Jonathan's whereabouts in hopes of collecting a cash reward. That is some fucked up stuff. That y'all was sitting over here playing with this lady, saying you know where he at, but she gonna have to pay to give the details. That wasn't nobody but the bad friends that was out here doing meth with him. That's what that was. Trying to get some money off her pain. Gretchen drove to Jackson, calling the Hinds County Coroner's office on the way. She asked where the office was located, but they didn't tell her. They took her number instead, and a few minutes later, the investigator who handled Jonathan's body called her. The investigator told her that they didn't have any photos of Jonathan, but the police might. So do coroners not take, photos of the bodies they about to hand over to the police? So many balls are dropped. It's sad. The investigator also said Jonathan had died with meth and fentanyl in his system. When she asked why she hadn't been told about his death, the investigator told her that was the police's responsibility. She went home. She wanted to be there when Brooke, 17, returned from school, but she wasn't going to tell Brooke anything until she felt for sure that he was dead. Now, the next morning after Brooke left for school, she and her sister, this is Jonathan's mom and her sister, went to Jackson Police Headquarters. Gretchen demanded to see the photos. A detective tracked some down and showed one to her. She cried the moment she saw the image. It showed Brooke tattooed in cursive across the dead man's chest, right above his heart. That was all the proof Gretchen needed. It was indeed him. After she saw the photos, Gretchen said the Jackson detective told her and Jenny that the coroner's office, not the police department, should have told them about Jonathan's death. The lack of effort to reach her and the deflection of responsibility appalled her. That's ridiculous, Gretchen said later in the interview. Going that dang long and not calling people, that's just inhumane. It's wrong. It's just wrong. The failure to notify the family also upsets friends and volunteers who helped Gretchen look for him. So these people are just really upset, as they should be. As they should be. Let's see what else, because I want to skip down to see what else. All right. Let's see. That's just crazy. Okay, so they go in and talk more about Dexter and Mario. They said Gretchen signed a contract for Crump to represent her on Wednesday, and families that report a loved one missing deserve immediate and accurate answers, according to Mr. Crump. We will work to unearth the truth about what happened to Jonathan and to seek justice for his family. For Gretchen, the hell of not knowing where her son is has ended. A new kind of agony has set in. She feels heartbroken, ignored, and disrespected. Gretchen now believes that Jonathan died of a drug overdose. The reported presence of fentanyl in his body makes her wonder if the meth had been laced with it. I believe that. But she doubts authorities will be able to answer that question. She says they can't even do the job of notifying a dead person's next of kin. They probably just thought another drug addict gone. I'm sure that's exactly what they thought. I'm sure that's exactly what they thought. That is just so sad. I hate that all of these families are experiencing this and having to go through this. But I definitely hope that those agencies and departments are definitely held accountable for their fuck ass actions. in my personal. There are some other articles or at least some news stories and things that I wanted to get into. So let me make sure that we go over and do that. Let me see which one I want to check out here. I think I may start with this one first, actually. So let's get into this one.
Unsettling situation in Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi to be exact. It's been revealed 215 bodies were buried in unmarked graves behind a state jail in Jackson, of course. Attorney Ben Crump is now calling for an investigation. Families of the dead reportedly had no idea until last month. Some of them, those grave sites were only labeled by a number and a metal rod. Joining us to talk about it, activist Arthur Silky Slim Reed, who also works with Ben Crump. So, Arthur, this started with Dexter Wade's case back in March, right? He was an individual who was hit by a police officer, and his family thought he was simply missing, but he was dead and buried, and no one notified them.
Well, the thing about it is that he had identification on him, Isaiah, and the medical examiner gave it to the lead detective who said he called, didn't get an answer, and they didn't worry about doing anything else. What we're finding, Isaiah, is that Mississippi is Mississippi. It's an ugly Mississippi. And this is sad because now we have 6 other individuals that has been put into this same grave. And if you look at the video from when we first went to that site, buzzards were flying overhead. And we were trying to figure out, why are the buzzards flying overhead? But it's because they're putting them in shallow graves, and the only thing that they're putting them in is a body bag without embalming the body.
That is so
So
crazy.
the stench from the bodies are drawing buzzards there. It's so inhumane for anybody to do anyone like that, Isaiah, is just horrible is what we can say. And that's not even a word that we should use in a situation like this. It's something that we haven't seen.
And what we're seeing here is over 200 people in this, what they consider a pauper's grave behind the county jail there. And what you guys are learning in your investigation is many of these families were never called, were never notified. Many of them still think their family members or thought their family members were simply missing, but they were dead and buried and never got a call from any investigators, any law enforcement officials or authorities in Jackson, Mississippi.
That's right. And one of the things that we faced being Mississippi is that they thought that we were playing the race card. We have white clients as well. There were white people that were buried the same way, Isaiah. And any human being that's buried the way that they're burying these individuals, it says a lot about the people that's doing this criminal act. And the only thing that we're asking, because people always look at us when we're out fighting for civil rights of individuals, the only thing that we're asking in this case, we want you to do the right thing and give them a humane burial. And the city is, so it's crazy, Isaiah, to see something like that. It's 2023. It's not 1940. But to see them just dumping bodies in a grave like that, and no name, just a number. So they'll say, well, number 13, that's Arthur Reed. Number 21 is Isaiah Carey. But we don't really know until we get the remains. And then the
Exactly.
remains
You're right.
had decomposed so bad, we just have to take them at their word. And when you look at the story, they told us that they would exhume this body at 12 noon, but they ended up taking this young man, Dexter Wade, out of the ground at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. They say, we were not going to allow them to embarrass us with those cameras. If you're not embarrassed by what you're doing, it's shame on you.
Absolutely incredible. Now, you guys, along with Ben Crump and I think Attorney Dennis Wheat, you all are asking for a federal investigation, that the feds come in and take a look at this and see exactly what's going on, because there's some questions as to Dexter Wade's death when he was hit by the police officer. Whatever happened with the officer in this case? And why wasn't his family ever notified that he was dead and not just a missing person? So bottom line, you want an investigation, right?
We think many civil rights were violated in Dexter Wade's case, not notifying the family, burying him without permission
Come on.
when you knew who he was.
Yep.
That's the key issue right there. You knew
Absolutely.
who this individual was. And if you look at the Dexter Wade case, it's sad, but Dexter Wade's uncle was killed by Jackson police, and they knew the family because they was involved in an ongoing lawsuit with that family, with Attorney Sweets, who you're talking about. So this is very, very, very troubling for us for you to know this family already, and for you to do something like this. This was adding insult to already injury that you had done to this family, Isaiah.
All right, let's hop over and see if there's any more.
Some new NBC News reporting tonight is giving us more insight on a story of death and mystery and anger over an apparent lack of good police work and accountability in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm talking about the story of Dexter Wade, who we now know was killed less than a half hour after leaving his home back in March. But his family only found that out this month. Wade was struck and killed by a Jackson police car, apparently, as he tried to cross a highway nearby. And even though police knew exactly who they hit within days of that accident, officials say, his mother, Betterson Wade, would spend the next 7 months. She would spend 7 months looking for her son. It wasn't until 172 difficult days after Betterson last saw Wade that they came together again, this time at his unmarked grave in a state-run cemetery. NBC's John Shoup is the reporter with this story. John, we're glad to have you with us today. The details here are just extraordinary, right? Because essentially what happened here is this 7-month-long mystery for this family, despite police apparently, according to official accounts, knowing for months who they hit, where he was buried, and not reaching out to the family. How did this happen?
That's one of the questions that we have, is how exactly it happened. But we know some details and a sketch of what happened. It began, as you mentioned, on March the 5th when Dexter Wade, he's 37 years old, left home and never came back. It turned out not far from home, not long after he left, he was struck and killed by an off-duty Jackson police officer. A coroner's investigator arrives at the scene, takes his body back to the examination table, finds a prescription bottle of pills that has his name on it. The coroner's investigator calls the hospital where he got the pills, gets the next of kin, who's his mother, Betterstein Wade, and forwards that information on to the Jackson Police Department's Accident Investigation Squad. Meanwhile, the mother, Betterstein, has no idea that any of this has happened. On the 14th of March, reports him missing to the missing persons unit, and for months is checking for updates and searching for him and gets no answers. Meantime, it's not clear why, but she was never told that they had him in the morgue the entire time. So ultimately, someone figured it out within the Jackson Police Department and let her know, and that's when she realized that while she was looking for him, they had assumed in the coroner's office that he was unclaimed and arranged for him to be buried in a pauper's field. And so as you showed the pictures just earlier, a minute ago, that moment came a couple of weeks ago where she finally got to see the grave marked only with a number of where her son is buried.
I know, John, that you and the team pieced this together from interviews with his family, the coroner's investigator, court records, documents provided in response to your requests, a crash report, incident reports, other documents, office records. I mean, so much of this. It took a lot of putting some puzzle pieces here just to get, I think, some sense of what happened. And yet through it all, as of tonight, have you gotten any response from the police department itself?
Of course not.
None. As soon as just before leaving to come talk to you, I was reaching out to the city. They're preparing some sort of response, but I'm not sure that they fully comprehend of how this mistake was made. We have notes, internal notes and documents that show what they knew. It's just not clear yet about why it was shared.
What does accountability look like for this family? Just quickly, John, what does that look like?
I think for Betterstein Wade, the mother, is just somebody to acknowledge that there was a mistake. She can accept if an accident was made, but just an acknowledgement and an apology.
Okay. She just wants to be heard, it sounds like. John Shoup, thank you so much. I really appreciate you bringing us this story tonight.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the...
All right, y'all. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, so his body did get exhumed?
And dear God, as those around her
Yeah, I did see
seek
this.
clarity
I saw
and
this a
justice
while
for her.
ago.
A family pastor
Last year
praying after
sometime.
Dexter Wade's remains were transferred from the Hinds County coroner to a local funeral home once the remains were exhumed from a pauper's grave.
I am sorry.
Wade's mom, Betterstein Wade, expressing anger and outrage at how she says the family was disrespected during the process.
Y'all done took him out the ground. Y'all put him in the ground without my permission. So I don't have no permission.
The family wasn't at the cemetery when Wade was exhumed from the grave Monday morning, though they thought they had permission to be there.
This how the system works? Is this what I'm living in? And I'm living in Mississippi. And this what I got to deal with? That I don't even matter.
Is any additional information you need?
Attorneys representing the family showed a letter from the Board of Supervisors. The letter says the exhumation would take place at 11:30 in the morning, but a county crew with shovels removed the body 3 hours earlier at 8 in the morning.
What are they hiding?
Exactly.
What are they hiding?
Exactly. What y'all
Well, we're
hide?
going to get to the truth.
County Administrator Kenny Wayne Jones responding to the family's accusations.
It was very unfortunate. No cover up or anything like that, just miscommunication.
The exhumation comes about 2 weeks after the family revealed that Wade had been buried without their permission in August. The family had been searching for Wade for months. He was struck and killed by an off-duty Jackson police officer in March while walking near I-55.
I'll cover it.
Now you saying walking near I-55, but everything else is reporting that he was walking across I-55. Girl, get the fuck.
up. Y'all did that. Kept telling me no, no, no.
Jackson police knew the body was in the local morgue, but it took 5 months before they notified the family because police say they couldn't identify Wade.
Now I ask, can I Zoom my child and try to get some peace and try to get a state of mind? Now y'all take that from me. I couldn't even see him come out the ground.
All right, so that's some of what's going on. And then I believe this is, this might be Mary. I believe this might be Mario's mom here.
Take your time.
My oldest son that I never would have thought that he would leave before me. This kind of way, how they just got him and just throw him in a hole like he wasn't nobody, like he wasn't important. They just did what they wanted to do with him, and that wasn't right. I couldn't get no answers from nobody. Me and my family deserve better than that. We had to buy him back from the state.
That's so
in order
crazy
to do anything, to get a death certificate, we had to spend money. And that's not right. Should nobody have to go through this as a mother? Nobody.
They shouldn't have.
No.
Had to be thrown away like this.
Just throw my son away. You a mother when you want to know about your son.
Thank you, Miss Mary. I can't even imagine how emotional this is. We thank you to Jonathan Schutz for helping get you some of the answers.
That's how you say his last name. Shout out to him.
Hi, my name is Gretchen Hankins. My son's name is Jonathan Hankins. He left my house May the 20th, Friday evening the 22, and he was found dead 23rd of 22, and I didn't know it for a year and 7 months. It's like they just threw him out like trash, just like they did the others. They did a fingerprint, and they found out who he was, and they still did not contact me. A reporter from New York City came down from New York, not here, and showed me information where they had buried him, and it had my address on there, so I know they knew how to get a hold of me.
Exactly.
You were talking about Jonathan's daughter.
Yes, and he has a daughter. She's 17 now, and well, I can't get a death certificate or anything right now. I have to wait. Don't understand why they need to give me one as soon as he was dead, and they should have brought it to my house.
How much are they saying?
$250 for the death certificate. It's ridiculous. It's uncalled for.
And then the charge all, I can't take it.
My heart goes out to all the ladies that's here today, and I know how I feel to find out that your son was thrown away in the ground, didn't contact you, didn't care about you, and what's so killing on my part, JPD did it. And I still
Jackson Police
couldn't
Department.
get anything. I had to pay $250 before I could even go down there and get registered to get a death certificate. Before they could even call Val Records. They had to call Val Records that day or the next day, and I had to go down there and get his death certificate. I couldn't even get nothing until I gave them $250.
On a prior occasion here, you said you had 5 families that you were representing. Are they still, the other 2 still a part of?
Yeah. What?
Yes, they're verifying. Thanks to the good work of Jonathan Shoops, they're getting verified. We don't want to come before they're verified.
Okay.
That they have
More details.
more likely than not that their loved ones are dead, but we want to verify it.
Yeah.
And then I put a missing report in on mine and gave them the information again.
When you about to put a civil alert out too?
I put a civil alert, asked them to put a civil alert out. They made like they were going to do it. They still didn't do it. All they had to do was put him up on the television. Somebody would have recognized him.
Right, right. We talked about that. Yeah, that's what she asked for. But y'all make sure y'all did it for the other young man, Jonathan.
Came out, the parents, the sister, the siblings, everything. So it did.
Well, my son was actually on the TV on the missing person,
Yep.
and they
Still didn't do their job for a whole fucking
And
year
all
and a
they had
half.
to do with what Jonathan did, go verify data.
That's amazing. He's in New York.
Yeah.
That's all he did,
You know,
exactly.
and these so-called JPD workers don't do too much work, apparently, because they're not doing no job whatsoever,
Come on.
no investigating.
And they need to be fired. Clean house.
And you can sense the outrage in these families' voices. What Jonathan has is a commitment to trying to get to the truth. And we need Jackson officials to have the same commitment and notify these families.
I agree. Another thing that I want to say, Crump typically, he always takes on these cases for the most part whenever there is some type of injustice in place. And I just hope and pray that people are getting answers, because I feel like once he joins the case, it's like, you know, very loud and everybody's talking about it for like maybe a month or so, and then it dies completely down. I know last year, I believe it was 2022, around November-ish, he may have started working with Rasheem Carter's family. And I don't know what has happened with that case. You know, it's been a lot of, you know, assumptions and, you know, things, speculation of things. So we don't know where it is, you know, with the case. I believe that it's still, you know, being investigated at this particular time. And that's it. Like, there are no additional records, like, you know, no additional details on Rasheem. He was 25. He went missing October 2nd, 2022, just days after telling his mother and the police that white men in his community were pretty much targeting him. And this was out in Taylorsville, Mississippi, where I believe he had a job, or he was working somewhere nearby Taylorsville, Mississippi. But I believe that he ended up being found in Taylorsville, Mississippi for sure. They said that his head was severed from his body. You know, I believe by the time his mama got his body, it was nothing but bones. Like, yeah, you guys can look that up on my page if you want to go through that story. It's the Rasheem Carter story, Rasheem. Y'all can check that story out or do further research on it as you all choose. But girl, this is crazy. It's some crazy stuff going on down there in Mississippi, but it's not just Mississippi. It's so many other places. Now I want to know, does Alabama, does Georgia, does South Carolina, Florida, Texas, do y'all have this same system where y'all take people's unclaimed relatives and bury them on some random land or farmland? It doesn't even have to be near a actual prison. But I want to know, do y'all do that? And I'm sure they possibly do. And, you know, if we don't know about it, I feel like we'll find out about it, you know, pretty soon. But I just wanted to run this story by you guys because it was just so sad and it was bothering me. Like, this is just crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, they did what now? 200 and how many bodies? And I believe that it's even more than that. Okay. So I wanted to talk about it. Was gonna talk about it last night, but I was like, "Oh, girl, this is eerie, honey. Let me wait till tomorrow." And here we are talking about it. But I want to hear you all's thoughts about it. If you've stayed for the full video, which is given damn near probably 2 hours at this point, definitely let me know that you stayed there longer. I do appreciate you. Be sure to like up the video if you have yet to like up the video. Okay. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well as we are growing over here. All right. So definitely do that for me. You can follow me over on Instagram and Twitter at JamiThatsMe. Okay. Definitely do that. And I think that's it. I really want to hear you all's thoughts about this overall situation. If you have any experience, you know, you've gone through this or you're familiar with somebody else that may have went through this and how they handled it, leave all of your thoughts down below. Like I said, I am JamiThatsMe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.